use data. Many businesses, the simplest way is to maybe collect survey responses, and you can go off and look for small softwares or even pieces of paper where you can write questions and do a little survey in an area to identify the products, the service, or the features within your product or the features within your service. The other way you can collect your data is to conduct focus groups or user testing. So you have a new product. For me, I remember when I started my cake business back in London, and I always used to go out and just ask people in my church, and say, can you test? This is my carrot and ginger cake, and then this is my carrot, ginger, and orange cake. Which one do you feel is better? So you see, I've added a feature in one cake that is absent in another cake. Then data-driven decision making also helps you to launch new products or services in a test market, in a small space. You say, okay, I'm starting bread. I'm challenging all the bread companies in this Nairobi. But before I go out into the whole of Nairobi, how about I test drive it by sending some to Karen, sending some to maybe Donholm, sending some to South B. And then I see in those test markets how the waters are, and for me to understand how to position my product, and it will give you a prediction of how it will perform in the market. And finally, analyze the shift. Data helps us to analyze the shift in demographic data that determines some of our business opportunities and threats. Now, there are two types of data. The first one is quantitative data, and the second one is qualitative data. Quantitative data is simply any numerical data that you have. Maybe you're telling me how many staff you have in your whatever, or how many people are in generally each home in Nairobi, or how many students are in that school, okay? Or what is the weight of the average weight of people in a certain place? Or what is the duration of lights going on and going off or using my bulb? So how many hours after I buy this bulb, or how many days does it last before it goes off? So as long as it has numbers associated to it, it is numerical, and therefore it is what we call quantitative data in terms of data types. Now, in terms of qualitative data, these are data that helps to qualify and help you make a decision. So maybe you look at measuring how much, how big, how small, how whatever. That is qualitative. So what is your happiness rating in this organization? You can do an analysis and analyze and find out. Ask all the employees to tell you how happy they are with the times of work, how happy they are with the management, how happy they are with the reward, how happy they are with the kind of training that they have in order to be able to serve customers. Happiness rating. So you're rating it between a rate of, and you can put the question in your survey as between a rate of 1 and 10, 10 being great and 1 being poor. So where do we rate? Some people will say 5, so medium, so you know what you need to change and things like that. Looking at the types of gender, looking at eye color, measuring those kinds of things. Measuring the kinds of responses you get in an interview transcript. Measuring the categories of plants you have in your garden. Those kinds of temperature, the temperature of coffee in Java, generally, is it burning hot? Is it very hot? Is it medium hot? Is it, I'll give you a very basic approach to analyzing qualitative data. It's very easy to analyze quantitative data. I count. It's either I say how many or what is the distance. If I'm using an app, it will show me the distance I've walked this morning is 2 kilometers in 3 hours. That's quantitative data. And so it shows me that tomorrow, if I'm making a decision to come out and I want to hit those 2 kilometers in 1 hour, I need to quicken my steps. But in the qualitative space, you collect the data through observation. You see, it's qualitative. And that's why I was saying, sometimes there's a third type, which I call the emotional data. Energy of a space. You can go, and that is why people will tell you, I was in that space and it just felt sad. People just looked down and sad and energy and whatever. That one you can't quantify, but you can qualify it through your descriptions. So this is collected through observation, through interviews with people and talking to people, through certain documentation that you find in the space, or if it is in a local area, through stories. When you listen into the depth of local stories, you will be able to pick a lot of qualitative data. Then you come to data reduction or shortlisting or whatever. So out of, imagine you've done 100 interviews over 3 months, trying to find out who likes your product, who doesn't like your service, who likes your service and everything. Or maybe not 100, you've just done 20. You can come in and select which ones really you feel are credible that you want to use in your decision making. You can focus, you can simplify some of these and say, okay, you know what? In terms of being able to improve the services in the school, I think I really want to focus on what the children have said. Yes, the teachers have had an input, the parents have had an input, but I want to focus on what the children have actually said, because they have the ground truth. They're the ones in the classrooms. They're the ones who suffered this thing or whatever. And so you transform the data, you simplify it, and you pick which ones you want to focus on. Then, if I'm going to report this data to Odipo or Nyambura, I need to know how I want to display this data. And I have to think of multiple things. One, there are people who want to be explained to. They are auditory in nature. Auditory are people who use their ears. So for instance, if I was comparing the number of women versus men in an area, how would I present that data? I would use a pie chart. And in the pie chart, I would say 50% men, and I would draw that and show it, and then 10% women. And so that goes to help you to display. And then you say, okay, so what is the gap? If 50% is men and 10% is women, who are these people in between? Either there's incorrect data, or you didn't just pick the data, or there's, different kinds of things going on there. And then you create, and the people having been presented to can actually draw conclusions and give meaning to the stories. But for me, and how we use data in my organization, we'll simply look for patterns. So using data in your small business to drive your decisions is something very key. Don't just go and make a decision and whatever, and you haven't really looked at the patterns. So DDDM, that is what we are talking about this morning. DDDM is data-driven decision making. So this is how you design it. On one end, you have your governance and leadership. You do a risk assessment of your small business. You do some due diligence, which are the areas palitumekwa tukikwama, we struggle, or this is where our competitors thrive more than us and everything. This is what regulators in my industry as an SME, require and everything. You look at all those things, especially when on the inside, you're looking to use technology. And I always say, technology is something really good. Technology, process, and people give us the design for decision making. Then standards, policies, procedures, and have small policies. So it's important to implement some of the things that we actually say. On the other side, you continuously, and I want us to focus on the two red items. You have to use data for your continuous improvement, and you have to use data for your testing and monitoring of your services, of your policies, of your standards, of your staff. Put something out, test and monitor, and use the data to make decisions, and use the data to make continuous improvements. Now, how do we utilize people data? You will find, you look at the way you govern. Once you have the data, then you can determine how you use it in a smart way. And so here I'm sharing with you the smart worksheet examples. Smart simply means making sure any goals or any decisions you want to make or the vision of your organization is done in a specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely manner. And the data will help you to be smarter I was teaching the other day other business people, and I was just telling them, you know what, don't work hard. Being specific tells you who, what, when, where, why, which will do what. So imagine you want to start social media in your organization. You'll be able to specify so and so will create the Facebook page. Then open it by which month? By August. Then so and so will upload the photo of meeting on that day to just keep it updated and everything, and keep on updating other things. That is being very specific. You're specifying who will do what, when, with the dates. Then in terms of measurable, quantitative data will help you. And tell me how many. And then you make sure it is achievable. You can actually achieve it. Make sure it is realistic. How willing are we to do this? What are our current conditions? Do we have the money to run this Facebook page? What do we have the skills for it? What similar things have we ever done like that we know we can actually succeed? Be realistic. If you're not realistic, if you're not data driven, then you're not going to really know which direction to take your business. And finally, make sure it is timely. It has a deadline. Like here we are saying, do that by August. It really helps you to know how to move forward. So these are the clear 7 steps to data-driven making decisions. Step 1, always define your objective or your vision or whatever. Then establish a hypothesis. You're like, I think my clients are not happy. This is coming from the fact that I'm seeing they've reduced over the years. They're just going down, down, down. The numbers are not, as they used to be when I started with business. Then identify some data needs. How do I build the data? How do I collect my information? How do I do whatever? Then build your data process, which simply means either you say, I'm going to put a questionnaire, I'm going to create a survey online, I'm going to ask in WhatsApp groups and get answers, I'm going to do a focus group in the local space and talk to, young men or young women or youth or whatever, and then write those questions and then go out step 5 and collect the data. Come back to your business, analyze that data and let it lead you to step 7 where you can make some decisions. What is rapid? R in the rapid model, R stands for recommend. These are people who make a recommendation for a decision. A is the individual. A just simply means the people who agree with my recommendation. So these are individuals who must be consulted in the development of that recommendation. Then P is the person who actually performs or executes on the decision. So these are people that we are looking at to do or to prioritize or to go out and perform whatever it is that we need in terms of the decision. I are the people who have an input. Input is critical expertise into that decision. They give critical information that helps us to develop our recommendations. And finally is the D, the decision maker. These are the people who commit. If I make a decision, I'm committing Rich Mel to that action. If I'm saying to a customer, okay, fine, thank you very much for accepting our invoice. I will be in your offices and deliver this training tomorrow morning. I have committed the organization, the reputation of my organization, everything that I believe in into acting. And so it is very important to use rapid when you're thinking about